True power resides in the dark side of the Force.
No. Quicker, easier, more seductive, perhaps.
This is not a matter of debate.
A debate? This has become.
Okay, so those of you that aren't familiar with the HotS debate, this is round 5 of it. This week, myself and Liquid are going to be debating the topic, frequency of updates are good for the game. So this often frequent updates that we're getting through Heroes of the Storm almost weekly updates are good for the game. Now, as per usual, the loser of this, as decided by you, will throw up the straw poll link after the show or during, like after this debate's done, and to chat as well. The punishment for losing is as such. The loser must theory craft a Heroes of the Storm hero that is based on the winner, including full kit, backstory, ultimates, and design. So I've already got, hopefully Liquid's got his idea of how he's going to craft me into being a Heroes of the Storm hero, because I'm pretty excited to see what he's got worked up for me here. Of course, I'm sure Liquid would give you a different story and expect me to have one ready for him, but we'll have to see, and you guys get to choose. So the format of the debate, Liquid is going to be defending the topic that the frequency of updates that we've got in Heroes is good for the game, and I'm going to be rebuting that comment and saying that, you know, the frequency updates is actually harmful for the game. So we'll start off with Liquid having 2 minutes to have his opening statements. I'll have 3 minutes as a rebuttal. Then Liquid will come back with 1 extra minute to rebut my rebuttal. We'll have then 2 questions from the moderator. He'll ask 1 question to me and then 1 question to Liquid. And by the way, Mystic's going to be moderating today. We each have 1 minute for those responses, and then we're going to finish off with 2-minute closing statements, starting with me and finishing off where we started, back with Liquid. Also, each participant gets 1 audible that they can call at any point during the debate here, where they can interrupt the other person mid-argument for a 15-second statement. And to make it interesting, I'm going to give Caloran a couple audibles too, and he can throw it out there and interrupt the discussions if he'd like. I just came up with that off the cuff.
We're just wild card now, man.
You don't have to use it if you don't want to, Halloran, but if you got a point, you're like, whoa. Audible. You get to ask a question, and you have to defend that.
The Phoenix Wright objection?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. All right. Oh, God.
Okay, so...
You can't go changing my game plan on me now.
Hey, man.
That doesn't work. I just said you have to be flexible.
Good strike at any time. Right. Be flexible, man. Just keep your win condition in mind.
Right?
So it's going to be an interesting debate here. So, Mystic, you can take it away with the clock and just let Liquid know when he can start.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, so frequency of updates. I think Blizzard is actually in a great place with Heroes of the Storm right now. I think if you look at a couple of debacles they had in the past where heroes were released underpowered, and then overpowered, and then put back down where they needed to be, I think that's actually good for the game. It makes me think that Blizzard's actually paying attention to how things are working in their game, and lets you know that they say, oh, you know what, yeah, we released that hero a little too underpowered. We know we need to buff her a little bit. And they buffed her, and they overcorrected, and they have come out and they've said, yeah, we overcorrected, and then we had to bring it back down a little bit. And if you've looked, they've actually learned from that mistake, and they haven't done that again since. So now it's just, hey, we set this out there, we see how this hero is for a little while, and then we give it a tiny buff or a tiny nerf. We don't have to go back and forth and back and forth. So I think you're going to point out the negative that they buffed, and then they nerfed, and then they buffed again, and I'm going to point out the positive to that action and say, yeah, they learned from it, and that's what matters here. I think another point I'd like to raise is the game was literally unplayable if you wanted to be Pirate Cassia until today. And why is that the case? Because they hotfixed it today. Her eyes are no longer crossed. I mean, come on. If you care about skins, you want them to frequently patch. Did you really want to wait until the next balance update for them to fix her crossed eyes or to fix the localization? Our poor Russian brethren could not play correctly because the text was wrong. It needed to be fixed. So it's important, I think, to have regular updates and not really go into this, we're going to do an update once a month or we're going to do an update every 6 weeks because we want to take our time. I think hero releases are in a good place right now where it's like every 4 to 6 weeks. And I think the patches that we're receiving are actually in a better place. And I think 2.0 is going to make that even better with the tweaks and the knobs they're putting in place.
Time.
Just give me a second here to fix the timer. Okay, Liquid, let me know when you're ready for the next round to go.
Mystic.
Mystic, sorry.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, Liquid. I gotta say, you know what? Updates to the game are, of course, they're a great thing. The problem is the frequency of the updates. It's great for our podcast. It's great for us because we get to cover this stuff on a weekly basis. It's great for you as a player who plays this all the time. It's great for Mystic. It's great for most of our viewers. The question is this good for the game? And what we really have to look at here is the health of the game and how you define game health. So in terms of game health, what you need is a growing player base, or at least a steady player base. And you also need to make sure that that player base is getting engaged or engaging more to get that kind of growth in the game. So I think frequent updates are great for the players that play on a very regular basis. Where it hurts is the players that are more casual, maybe your weekend warriors, for instance, or those who come in and out of the game. I think this can be a very big hindrance to those and that vis-a-vis the growth of the game. I'll give you an example, too. I've got two brothers on my cheer league team, Michael and Kevin. They are what we'd call weekend warriors. They don't play every day. They don't even often play every week. My brother Kevin has a roster of maybe 4 or 5 heroes he feels comfortable with in any sort of competitive sense. He's like, whenever we play, I always have to play one of those heroes. One of them used to be Sylvanas. Sylvanas got a rework, I mean, it was about a year ago, but you know what happened? He said, I can't put in the time to work on my Sylvanas back up to where she was. I just have to drop her off my roster. Now I'm down to 4. He's sitting here being like, there's so many heroes in the game, I don't have time to like learn as many as I'd want to because I put that time investment in. They get changed completely, they get buffed, they get nerfs. I don't even know what's going on in the game anymore. He comes in, he's like, who's this new character? Like, why is ETC not first pick, first ban anymore? I don't understand what's going on. It's a very mixed message for those kind of people, and it makes it difficult to bring new players into the game and get them hooked. It's great for those that are hooked because it gives us a constant updating strategy. Now, the other thing I want to say is that, balance patches are great. You do them, I say less frequently would be better. You do them every few months, say, or every couple months. And you know what? The meta will evolve from there. It's not a bad thing if you have an overpowered hero for a while and get like a meta to settle a little bit too. It gives a bit more of a comfort level. People can understand, figure out the game without being like thrown for a loop every time they log in. So there's a lot of advantages, I think, to having a more stable game. I was actually talking to Liquid. He was saying Mystic, that StarCraft Brood Wars, too, like the meta's still evolving there, and that game's been out for how long? Like they don't patch that game on a very frequent basis, too. So I think it's very important, and I'd really like to see Blizzard slow down the pace of the updates and the reworks, because we do have so many heroes now, too. You don't need to keep reworking them. We've got all these different heroes, like even Halloran mentioned it before. Lunara's starting to creep back into the meta, too, right? Like it's not necessarily that you need these reworks to bring people through the meta. It'll just happen naturally and organically, and I think that stability is important for the game. Perfect timing.
All right. I got you, buddy. I got you. I got my little notebook. I got some notes on what you just said. I'm ready.
Okay,
All right.
This is intense, man.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, start.
Okay. I can completely understand the weekend warrior versus the new players argument, right? Weekend warriors, like your brother, only have a certain amount of time to actually play the game. They don't have time to go read the patch notes, and then when characters get reworked, I can understand that being a new learning curve. They have to go relearn that character, right? Totally get that. Put that character on a shelf, pick up maybe a new character. But I think I want to focus in on the new players here. And one of the things that really brings in new players, having a really vibrant, valid esports scene, showing that to the entire world. And you know what?
Audible. I have to audible here. Okay, I'm going to take my 15 seconds. That's ridiculous. Like, how does the esports scene have anything to do with this? Obviously, we're not talking about esports here. We're not talking about esports here. We're talking about frequency of updates in the game, and I don't see how that relates to esports. Okay,
audible. Right, here it comes.
Okay.
Are you ready? Here it comes.
Go ahead.
All right. So esports, putting it out there, getting up #1 view on Twitch, getting up #1, getting back on ESPN, getting all that exposure brings new players to the game, right? And when new players come to the game, they want to have the freshest game. And the way you do that is having frequent updates. So yeah, your weekend warriors are going to pay, but you're not going to not get new players. You're going to get even more new players by continuing to keep the game and the meta evolving quickly.
Yep.
Okay. Mystic, time for your question.
All right.
This one's going to Daz, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, this is going to Daz.
All right, Daz, your question. So if you aren't getting as frequent of updates, like it's a very long time before the update, how is this going to, do you think, affect the health of the player base?
All right. Okay, so if we have long, so you're saying if we've got long updates, how are this gonna affect the player
Yeah,
base?
like in the long term, yeah.
Well, I think it gives stability, so you can sit there, you can figure out the game better, right? You don't have to like wonder week to week. Oh, did I check the patch notes? Like, who's got buffed, who got nerfed this week? What are the balance patch changes? Instead, you can come in and be like, okay, I know who was strong last week. They're likely still strong this week because I know there's that stability here, right? You look at countries of the world, right? Stability is what keeps them growing strong and helps their economy grow, right? It's very similar in this game as well. You don't want to have that instability, that unknown, that kind of questioning of like, you know, what am I supposed to do every week? And like, I could bring up the example of my brothers again too. Every time we had a cheerleader game, he's like, like, what's going on now? Like, why are we not banning like Ragnaros first? Like, I thought he was always first banned material. Like, we constantly had to get him back up to speed too. And it took time, and also like I think detracted from his game experience because he just didn't know that naturally.
All right, next question is for Liquid. All right, Liquid, your question is, so the frequency of updates you say is good for the game. However, do you feel like it's good for the competitive scene if they constantly tweak these? Like, let's just say, remember when Ragnaros is still very strong, and then people were complaining about him to be nerfed, and he was nerfed by Blizzard just quite a few times. Do you think that's healthy for the game, that the fans and the players are just like, wow, he's super strong, we got to nerf him, and then the nerf comes out?
You can go.
Okay. Yes. While I agree with the sentiment that maybe having patches be a little bit less frequent would help the pro scene, I would point out that with releases of things like the Tournament Realm, and with HGC always playing back a hero release and things like that, it allows the tournament scene and the pro scene to kind of exist in a bubble, but not really. So they have access to the newest things. They can look at the newest patches. They can react to the newest patches, and they can plan for the newest patches while still playing their game on possibly a patch back as things kind of settle out, because you don't want to completely disrupt the pro scene, but you at the same time want to get those patches out and get those nerfs out that need to be. Ragnaros was so strong for so long, and I think that actually speaks to my point and not Daz's point, because it took them so long to fix Ragnaros and make him not first pick, first ban every single game. We have the same problem with shields right now. Shields are almost always first pick, first ban. That should change.
Objection?
I saw you preparing this before I even talked.
The Eastern Clash was played on a patch where Varian still had his stun.
Yes.
The Heroic 4 was played with Zarya banned out from the tournament entirely. The frequency of patches enable situations like that where the actual result in the live setting could be drastically different, and it's difficult to practice in one setting and then go back to live and practice, and it just makes things weird.
I would like to have a moment just to respond to that, if I may. I agree with you.
Are you using up your Audible to use this
I will use
response?
my Audible up if I need to, yes. So I agree with you that Eastern Clash and Western Clash being played on two different things, especially with the variant change with Warbringer, drove me nuts. I think Blizzard really needs to put more thought into how it addresses the Tournament Realm to the entire Heroes of the Storm community so that they can get around some of that stuff, because I think the Tournament Realm actually solves some of those problems.
Okay. All right, so now the Rebuker has 2 minutes for closing statement.
Okay, I think Liquid just shot himself in the foot a little bit. Thank you, Halloran, for bringing up that very touchy issue. I want to address that a little bit because that's an important point too, is the fact that you watch esports tournaments, typically HEC, and you're on previous patches. One thing that I think takes away from the experience is that you have to, when you're watching those, you can't be like, okay, well, I can take that strategy and bring it home because, well, the variant doesn't have a stun anymore. Or like Tassar just got nerfed into the ground to avoid this kind of thing, right? And Halloran is shaking his head, yes. I think I might have that man's vote. Your check's in the mail, Halloran. But yeah, it's important to note that it does lead to this kind of disjointed bit with the pro scene as well. And a lot of things do filter down from the pro scene. That's where a lot of the exposure comes in for the game. That's where a lot of the new players come into the game. Liquid was talking about too, like, okay, a lot of people come in, what keeps them in is these constant updates. You know what? Heroes 2.0 is a great thing. I think these big updates are the way to do it. You have these big updates too to the game. It's like, hey, we got this really new thing coming out. You can justify relaunching your game or like really promoting that, whereas you can't really do that with balance patches. So I think these bigger updates too, these exciting ones, we get a lot of new content, a lot of new changes coming to the game. Hey guys, you know what? We're shaking up the meta for this new season. Maybe you've had a patch a season. Like, this is really going to change the game. Come back to Heroes of the Storm. Like everything's going to be different. Everything you know has changed. And people can figure it out for a whole season, have a little bit more time to settle into that season. So I really think that that's another big reason that these frequency of patches can lead to this instability in the game. And Blizzard's doing a great job, and I applaud them for what they're trying to do. And I'm really hoping that as time goes on, things will just naturally settle a bit more often as they get better with hero design and know what those numbers they need to bring characters into the game will be. But I think ultimately the game will benefit from having less frequent updates.
All right, now Liquid, you have 2 minutes for a closing statement. 3,
Okay.
2, 1, go.
So I want to point out two things. One, if you compare the current patch cycle to the patch cycle of League of Legends, they're roughly the same. They're not identical. I understand that, but they're roughly the same. I know the games aren't even the same right now, but League of Legends, I think we can all agree, is very, very, very popular and a very successful game. We may not like it. We may all prefer Heroes of the Storm here, but League of Legends in its own right is a very successful game, okay? Their patch cycle is very similar. But the thing that's more important to me is, you know, something that keeps me coming back day in and day out? It's not just the game. It's the ability to get new heroes all the time. And if you're going to release a new hero into the Nexus, there's only so much testing and so much pre-planning you can do. Until you see what the broader audience in the Nexus are going to do with that hero, you don't know what needs to be tweaked. Would it be great if every single player that played on live played on the PTR for a couple of hours a week to give Blizzard that kind of testing? Hell yeah, it would. But you know what? We don't do that. We play on live because that's where the games are. So Blizzard has to release a new hero, and that new hero needs to be tweaked a little bit. And if that's the case, would you rather wait 4 weeks or 6 weeks until the next hero gets released for that previously released hero to get tweaked? Or would you like that hero to be tweaked now, so that you don't run into a situation like we had with Zarya, or like we had with Ragnaros for the longest time, where it was like he was so OP, he was just like, you had to ban him every time. No, you want that hero fixed now because you want to enjoy your game. Guarantee you, when you play and you load into an OP hero release, Reddit blows up, Twitter blows up, the whole Nexus blows up with people like, you know what sucks? This OP hero is dominating our game, right? Nobody wants to deal with that. You know how you get around that? Frequent patches. So if you want to continue getting new heroes, you're gonna have to continue getting frequent patches. Mic drop.
Oh man, how I wish I could have the final word in that debate there.
But you don't.
But I don't. Hey guys, thanks everyone for listening to the HotS debate section. I'm just dropping the straw poll link now, so you can go in, you can vote on who you think won tonight's debate. Go nuts, and we'll have this poll closed within about 24 to 48 hours, more likely 48 hours. We'll drop it on Reddit and get some more votes through there too, and get some more exposure for it. So yeah, just again, the stakes are high here, guys. Whoever loses has to craft a hero's character in the likeness of the winner, including backstory, full kit, ultimates, and design.